When I slipped on the stairs and broke my arm, my family thought I was unconscious. I laid there in pain while my wife leaned over and whispered, "This could be our chance. He's worthless now. We'll say he was drunk, speed things up." Then my daughter said, "We'll finally be free." I bit down so hard on my tongue it bled. When help arrived, they had no idea what was coming. Some backstory. I'm 42M, my wife Jade is 39F, and we've been married 14 years. We have a 19-year-old daughter Zoe who just started college. I always believed we were doing okay. Not perfect, but okay. Looking back, I missed the warning signs. For a while now, Jade had been distant. Less affection, always on her phone, hiding the screen when I'd walk past. Obvious red flag, right? But I trusted her. And Zoe, well, she went from being my little girl to barely speaking to me. Still, I kept working, pulling 60-hour weeks, coming home drained but doing my best to be present. I was trying to be the husband and father they needed. Then came last Tuesday. I'd been asking Jade to fix the loose carpet on our stairs for months. She kept saying she would. I even bought what we needed to fix it, but she insisted on doing it herself. Thinking back, that should have struck me as odd. That morning, half asleep, I stepped on that same spot. My foot slipped. I tried to grab the railing, missed, and went down hard. My arm twisted underneath me with a crack that made me sick. My head slammed into the wall. The pain was instant, blinding. I couldn't even scream, just this awful gargling sound. I laid there, vision blurry, trying not to black out. I heard Jade coming. "Theodore, oh my God!" she yelled, checking my pulse. I wanted to speak, but couldn't. And something in her eyes wasn't right. Zoe came running. "What happened?" she asked, calm, not scared. Jade said, "He fell down the stairs. I think he's out cold." That's when everything broke. I wasn't unconscious. I was in agony, yes, but I could hear. And they didn't know that. Jade leaned in and whispered something that made my blood freeze. "This might be our chance. He's useless now. We could say he fell drunk and speed up the process." "What process?" Then Zoe, the same kid I worked double shifts to support, knelt down and said, "We'll finally be free." Free? Free from what? Me? The man who paid for her dance lessons and her college tuition? I wanted to scream. I wanted to stand up and demand an explanation. But something told me to wait. I bit my tongue harder, trying to stay still, stay quiet. "How long until the divorce goes through?" Zoe asked. 2, maybe 3 months, Jade replied. "Depends if he fights it. But if we make it look like he drinks, I don't even drink. Maybe a beer during football. That's it." "Did you move the money?" Zoe asked. "Most of it," Jade answered. "About $20,000 left in the joint account. I'll move the rest once I set up the new account." They were stealing from me. I laid there, barely breathing, listening to them plan how to ruin me. It felt like hours, though it was maybe 5 minutes. They talked about taking the house, the money, how life would be easier without me. Jade even said there was someone else already. "We should call 911. It'll look suspicious if we don't." "Should we change his clothes? Make it look like he was drinking?" Zoe asked. "No time. Just grab that whiskey bottle and spill some on his shirt." I felt the cold splash hit my chest. They were setting me up. The paramedics came, and suddenly they were the perfect wife and daughter. "He's been so stressed," Jade said. "Sometimes he drinks in the mornings. I've been really worried." I wanted to shout that it was all lies, but something told me to stay quiet. Let this play out. They loaded me up. Jade held my hand in the ambulance, like she cared. At the hospital, X-rays confirmed it. Broken arm, mild concussion. The doctor asked about the alcohol smell. That's when I finally spoke. "I wasn't drinking. Maybe it spilled when I fell." Jade's eyes twitched. Then she smiled. "You don't remember?" Honey, you've been struggling. She looked at the doctor. He forgets things when he drinks. The doctor didn't look convinced, but didn't press. They put my arm in a cast, gave me pain meds, and sent me home. Jade drove. On the way, she kept asking if I remembered what happened, testing me. I told her I remembered slipping and then being in the ambulance. That's normal, she said, sounding relieved. Short-term memory loss happens with head injuries. Sure, real convenient for her. That night, I laid in bed pretending to sleep while my head spun. 14 years, a daughter I loved. All fake? Were they really going to divorce me, take everything, and paint me as some pathetic drunk? I pulled out my phone, checked our accounts while she showered. The savings account should have had over $50,000. Now? Less than $20,000. Last withdrawal, $40,000, 3 days ago. Gone. I scrolled through months of history, hundreds taken here, thousands there, slowly drained, and I hadn't noticed. Because I trusted her. Because I was killing myself to take care of them. She got into bed and asked if I needed anything, like nothing had happened. I wanted to explode, but I just said, no, I'm okay, and pretended to sleep, but I didn't. I stayed up all night thinking, planning. They think I'm done, weak, replaceable. They forgot who I am. I've always been the one thinking ahead, the problem solver. And now, they're my new problem. The next morning, I told Jade I'd stay home a few days to rest. She looked thrilled. Of course, honey, whatever you need. Yeah, whatever gets me out of her way. The second she left for work, I made calls. First to the bank, then a lawyer, then a private investigator. I played the role. Hurt, confused, broken. Let them think I was falling apart. Meanwhile, I was collecting evidence, making my own moves. It's been a week now. A week of pretending. A week of hearing them whisper when they think I'm out cold. A week of finding out just how deep their betrayal really runs. And they have no clue what's coming next. That night, Jade was taking Zoe back to campus. They'd be gone for 2 full days. That's when I planned to set everything in motion. They wanted to be free of me. They wanted my money, my house, my life. They're about to learn a brutal lesson about the man they thought they could throw away. I'm not useless. I'm not broken. I've just started. Update. Thanks for all the support and the advice. Some of you asked for an update, so here's what's happened in the month since I found out my wife and daughter were conspiring against me. Remember how Jade and Zoe were gone for 2 days? Those 48 hours flipped my entire world upside down. The second their car left the driveway, I went into full detective mode. My arm slowed me down, but I was fueled by pure fury. First stop was Jade's home office. I'd never snooped before, boundaries and all. Funny how fast that changes when someone's trying to wreck your life. Her desk drawers were locked, but the key? Taped under her pencil tray. Real amateur move. Inside, I found bank statements from an account I'd never seen. 5 years of statements. Balance, $112,000. She'd been skimming off our joint account. While I was busting my back working overtime, she was stashing cash and redecorating for the 3rd time. But it didn't stop there. 3 more accounts, smaller but still loaded. Together, nearly $200,000. That was supposed to be our savings, retirement, our future. I snapped photos with my phone. My hands were shaking so badly some shots were blurry, but I didn't care. Evidence was evidence. Then I found a folder labeled Z College. Thought. It'd be tuition info. Nope. Divorce papers. All filled out, just not filed yet. They accused me of being a drunk, of having anger issues. Me, the guy who has 1 beer during a game and has never yelled at either of them. I sat there on the floor, breathing heavy, trying not to throw up. The betrayal physically hurt. But then I got mad. And that anger? It got me moving. I combed through everything. Their emails were auto-logged on the home computer. Total rookie. Mistake. Messages, search histories, it was all there. Turns out Jade had been talking to someone named Nelson for over a year. Her boss. Hundreds of messages. No nudes or anything, but definitely emotional cheating. You understand me better than he ever did. I'm counting the days until I can start over. All that crap. He was pushing her to leave. And Zoe? My daughter? She wasn't just aware, she was helping. They actually messaged about waiting until I'd paid for Zoe's next tuition bill before filing for divorce. There was even a spreadsheet where they listed our assets. My retirement, the house, the cars. Notes like, he won't fight for this, and easy to sell. They'd taken pictures of empty liquor bottles and staged them around the house. They were building a case to make me look like an addict. Seriously, who does that? By midnight, I was in the living room, surrounded by screenshots and paperwork, planning my counterattack. That's when it hit me. I needed professional help, not therapy, though maybe that too, but legal help. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. Ren, the one nicknamed the Piranha, on 3 different review sites. And she lived up to it. I showed her everything. She didn't even flinch, just started jotting down notes like she'd seen this before. The plan was simple but required patience. Step 1, secure my finances without tipping them off. Step 2, gather more proof. Step 3, prepare for the showdown. The next few weeks? The best acting I've ever done. I pretended to be dazed from pain meds, played the broken man. Meanwhile, I was moving money into new accounts, slowly so it wouldn't trigger alarms, a few thousand here and there. Jade didn't notice a thing. I bought small recording devices, installed one in the living room, another in her office. Totally legal since it's my house, by the way. Thanks, Reddit. Also set up security cams. Told Jade it was for safety since I was on meds. She bought it. The footage? Eye-opening. When I wasn't around, they talked like I was already gone. Like I was some sad story they were eager to close the chapter on. Jade even brought Nelson over once while I was at physical therapy. Nothing happened, thankfully. I might have lost it, but seeing them on my couch, drinking my whiskey, talking about freedom, it took everything in me not to blow up the whole thing. But Ren was clear. Don't tip your hand. So I smiled. I played the sweet, fragile husband. I even started helping more around the house, one arm and all, just to keep suspicions low. All the while, I documented everything. Every shady withdrawal, every lie, every quiet conversation they had when they thought I was sleeping. 3 weeks after the fall, I hit gold. Jade had left her email open on our shared tablet. There it was. An email to Zoe. A literal timeline. Wait until tuition is paid. File papers citing irreconcilable differences and alcohol problems. Request. Emergency order to freeze accounts. Push for quick settlement while he's still foggy. Move in with Nelson after it's final. They'd even divvied up the furniture. That night I didn't sleep. I laid next to her, listening to her breathe, wondering how this was the same woman I married. We raised a kid together, shared a life, and she was calmly orchestrating my collapse like it was a business plan. The next day changed everything. I met with Ren again. We kicked it into high gear, filed paperwork to protect my assets, set up a trust with the funds I'd moved. Documented every dollar Jade had taken. Then I made strategic moves. Bumped into Nelson's wife, Tatum, at the grocery store. Introduced myself as Jade's husband. Her reaction? Pure confusion. She had no clue. We exchanged numbers. I knew she'd be important later. Then I contacted Jade's parents. Just small talk, checking in. Casually mentioned how I'd been confused lately, that some money seemed to be missing, that my memory post-accident was foggy, just planting seeds. I reconnected with old friends too, rebuilding my base. You know how chess players think 5 moves ahead? That's where I'm at now. And Jade and Zoe? They're still playing checkers. Jade had spent years slowly cutting me off from the people who mattered, friends, family, anyone who could have seen what was happening. But once I uncovered the truth, I started rebuilding my support system, one call at a time, preparing for when it all exploded. And through it all, I never stopped collecting proof. Every cruel thing they said when they thought I was asleep, every text about their little plans, every shady withdrawal, I kept receipts. 5 weeks after the fall, my cast came off. The doctor said I was healing well. Jade, oddly enough, looked more annoyed than happy. That weekend, I caught her on the phone with Nelson, saying how my improved condition was messing up their timeline. She wanted to file the papers sooner. They were worried I'd start checking the finances. Bit late for that, sweetheart. By week 6, I'd already moved half of our joint money into secure accounts, traced and documented nearly $200K she'd siphoned, recorded hours of conversations outlining their whole twisted scheme, switched beneficiaries on everything, secured my records, and built a rock-solid case. They still had no clue. To them, I was just a broken man limping around the house, too spaced out to notice they were about to stab me in the back. Then Zoe came home for the weekend. I overheard them in the kitchen. Jade was stressing that the divorce might not go as smoothly as they'd planned. Zoe? She suggested they make it messier, said they should paint me as unstable or threatening to get a restraining order. My own daughter, ready to accuse me of being dangerous just so she could cash out more of my hard-earned money. That was it, the final line. I called Ren that night, told her I was done playing. Time to roll it all out. We chose a date, exactly 2 months from the day I fell. Fitting, right? The very same day they planned to start the divorce. Instead, it would be the day I flipped the script. I told Jade I wanted to celebrate my recovery, have a nice family dinner. She looked annoyed but said, "Okay." "Zoe?" she said. "Sure, free food on Dad's tab." Figures. I prepped everything, table set perfectly. Folder tucked beneath my chair, every piece of evidence ready to go. Phone camera pointed discreetly at the table, recording the whole thing. Ren on standby, waiting for my signal. They came in acting weird, exchanging glances, clearly confused by my upbeat attitude. Probably thought I was still clueless. Still. The same doormat they'd walked all over. We made small talk. Zoe shared college updates. Jade rambled about work. I smiled through it all, played the role. I cooked all their favorites: roast chicken, fancy potatoes, Zoe's beloved mac and cheese. Even baked a chocolate cake from scratch. One-handed. Thank you very much. They still looked uneasy, shifting in their chairs, wondering what was going on. After we ate, I stood up, then sat back down and said, "There's something I want to talk about." Instantly, they stiffened, like prey animals sensing a predator. I asked Jade if she remembered the day I fell. "Of course," she said. "It was terrifying." I nodded and asked her what she did right after I fell. She launched into her fake story about finding me unconscious, calling for help, how scared she was. That's when I asked, "And what did you say to Zoe while I was lying there?" Her face. Absolute panic. She stuttered, claimed she didn't remember, said something vague about being scared. I smiled, pulled out my phone, and hit play. It was a recording of me recounting everything I'd heard that morning, word for word. My voice, right after it happened, while it was still fresh. Jade tried to cut in, but I kept going. Then I pulled the folder from under my seat and laid the documents on the table. First, bank statements, withdrawals, transfers, hidden accounts, dates, amounts, all of it. She said it was for emergencies, for Zoe's school. I laughed and turned the page. Next, the divorce papers. The ones where I'm supposedly a drunk with anger problems. Already filled out, just waiting for the tuition payment to clear. Zoe was sobbing now. Jade looked like she was about to faint. I wasn't. Done. I laid out the photos, liquor bottles they'd planted, screenshots of their messages, emails with Nelson, their entire plot, all in black and white, right there on our dinner table. 2 months of evidence, lined up in a neat pile. Silence. Nobody said a word. Then Jade, in classic manipulator fashion, tried a new angle. Tears. Apologies. I made a mistake. We can fix this. I still love you. Really? After trying to destroy me financially, legally, emotionally, I just stared at her. Shook my head. Too late, I said. Way too late. Then I told them how things were actually going to go. They had 30 days to get out of my house. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, the house is legally mine. I inherited it from my grandmother years before Jade and I got married. Somehow, they completely overlooked that detail in their planning. Classic. I'd already transferred half our funds into accounts they couldn't touch. The rest would be settled in court, but my lawyer was confident, especially given the clear evidence of Jade's financial fraud. As for Zoe's college fund, the one they assumed I'd refill next month, it now had a grand total of $0. I moved it into a trust under my sole control. I'd already shown Jade's parents the whole mess. They were shocked, disgusted by both Jade and Zoe. And Tatum? Nelson's wife? She now had copies of all their messages. Turns out she's loaded and has a rock-solid prenup. If Nelson cheats, he walks away with nothing. I was filing for divorce, on grounds of financial fraud and emotional abuse, not the other way around. Jade lost it, went from crying to screaming, called me names I won't even repeat, said I was cruel, heartless, vindictive. I didn't say a word, just sat there, calm, as ever, until she finally wore herself out. When she stopped, I simply said, "You did this to yourselves." Then I turned to Zoe. That part hurt the most. I told her I'd always love her. She's my daughter. But I couldn't ignore who she'd become. She chose manipulation over honesty, money over family. Choices have consequences. She tried to blame her mom, claimed she'd just gone along with it, didn't really mean to hurt me. But the texts told a different story. I reminded her she's an adult now, and adults deal with fallout. I told her she'd have to figure out how to pay for school like everyone else. Loans, jobs, reality. The way she looked at me, like I was the enemy. That stung, not gonna lie. But I stayed strong. There wasn't much more to say. I told them I'd be staying at a hotel that night to give them space. That my lawyer would contact them tomorrow with the official paperwork. That they should start packing. As I stood to leave, Jade grabbed my arm. She begged, said she'd fix it, said she was sorry, said she'd do anything. I just looked at her, really looked at her and felt nothing. The woman I'd spent 14 years with was a stranger now. I told her the truth. There's nothing left to fix. Then I walked out. That was 3 months ago. A lot's happened since then. The divorce is moving along. Jade moved in with her sister. Nelson dumped her fast. Turns out Tatum wasn't bluffing about that prenup. Zoe took a semester off to figure things out. We barely speak. Her grandparents told me she's working at a cafe now, trying to save for school. Meanwhile, I'm still in the house. Finally fixed that damn carpet on the stairs. Been going to therapy twice a week, sorting through the chaos. I've reconnected with old friends. Even started dating again. Nothing serious, but it's nice. Remembering there are good people out there. The hardest part has been facing the truth. The family I thought I had was never real. The people I worked myself to the bone for? They were plotting behind my back for years. Some days I still wake, up angry. Other days, I question every memory, every holiday, every smile. But then there are mornings where I breathe a little easier, where I feel lighter, like I'm finally free. Free from trying to please people who only saw me as a paycheck. Free from the pressure to keep everything running, no matter what it cost me. My lawyer says the money side should be settled soon. Jade's claims? Practically dead in the water thanks to all the evidence I gathered. I won't get everything back, but I'll get enough to rebuild. Start over. Just last week, Jade called, said she wanted to meet. Said she's been thinking, regretting. I haven't decided if I'll go. I don't know what more there is to say. Zoe? That wound's still fresh. She's my daughter, and yeah, I miss her. My therapist says to give it time. Says she's young. Was heavily influenced by Jade. That maybe one day we'll find our way back to some kind of relationship. I hope so, but I'm not holding my breath. What I am doing, for the first time in a long time, is betting on myself. Living on my own terms. Making choices because they feel right for me, not out of obligation. I'm building something new from the ashes they tried to leave me in. They thought I was broken. Done. A burden to get rid of. But in trying to destroy me, they destroyed themselves. And the only thing they never saw coming was the truth. So that's it, Reddit. That's how falling down a flight of stairs saved me from a lifetime with people who only saw me as a walking ATM. It's not the happy ending I expected, but maybe it's the one I needed. Thanks for sticking with me through all of it. Your words meant more than you'll ever know.